summer edition of Talking with Forest Park. I'm Jason Grzgorek, your host, and I'm very fortunately joined with me today, Chelsea Nuss, Councilwoman for the City of Forest Park. Chelsea, glad you could join us.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad that you were able to come along because we have something important to talk about, obviously. There's only one reason to get together.
Absolutely.
And we are going to be talking about something that is near and dear to your heart because you are indeed the chair to the Public Safety Committee, for those who don't know, on sitting on council. In that, you have obviously looked at what needs to be the importance of public safety. And when you even ran for your first term, you ran basically family first, which equated to safety and importance. So this is why it's so near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I got all that.
So you have it all.
I have the
That's
bases
exactly
covered.
Yes, we wanted to make sure that the quality of life was maintained, certainly maintained at the very minimum, but for opportunities for increase and to make a greater situation for families here in Forest Park, we want to take every opportunity we can to take advantage of that.
And before we get into what the crux of our matter here is today, since you have been on council for as long as you have so far, how do you feel that you are living up to that expectation? Or are you finding that the constituents of Forest Park side in that favor, or is it something that's a little more difficult than you anticipated originally?
Well, I think that, from what I'm getting from the community, I'm getting some good remarks, some very supportive conversations, and people reaching out and saying, hey, listen, this has been on my mind for quite some time. How can we get this to be part of the conversation? So anytime that a community member or resident entrusts their concerns, their deeply, their safety concerns about, the welfare of their community, anytime they have those and they're willing to come to you, and they're typically coming privately, they'll stop me, or they'll email me, or I'll get text messages from, 3 people down the line, or they'll Facebook, because I have a Facebook page for Chelsea Nuss with Forest Park City Council. That's really impactful, and that, wow, they obviously believe that, in some part that you are going to do at least the things that you said that you were going to do. So it took maybe, I think in the end of March, April, I started to discuss with the community concerns about just public safety.
Sure.
And, we kind of know that on at least a regional scene, national scene, there's been some challenges where it comes when we're talking about law enforcement and community and public safety.
Sure.
Not at all that we have those issues here. We have an amazing police force here.
Absolutely.
Which I'm extraordinarily proud of and thankful to be here. However, it is also at the same time very important to just have those community conversations so that all residents in your community feel like they've been heard, and that the concerns that they have because something happened to a relative close by, or things that are happening right next door, don't come here, because we have a great safe space. So we just kind of want to head those off, and so that's kind of where at least some of my concerns came into play. Having 2 young children in the neighborhood, and that's kind of where this idea of kind of neighborhood. What neighborhood work are we going to do that brings our community together, so taxpayers also feel like they're getting the best bang for their buck as well, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the best way to put
absolutely.
it. Sure.
The more opportunities or to gather and congregate that you have in a community, the more the more safe you feel, and the more you feel like you're getting to have that community feeling. So that's where that came in, and that came in, I've been sitting on since December, and so not even 6 months in, we were able to, start talking about this, and that's why we're kind of here today.
And of course, I think the most important is that the citizens realize, or absolutely know, by proof positive, that their voice is being heard, because I think that's a major part of our government today, is that people say, well, my voice doesn't matter. And it's not true here at all in the city of Forest Park.
No. I mean, I think we have a pretty open door policy, especially for council meetings, work sessions.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we could do a better job of maybe publicizing things, but I also believe that, community members have got to, they've got to get involved. We are dealing with some very interesting things going on, even on national level, obviously, and so it is extremely imperative that every community person takes it upon themselves to also get involved, get engaged. You want a change, you want a rec center, you want things to happen. You actually need those people in place to get those things happen, to get the support needed and the boots on the ground.
Absolutely. It doesn't take one person's voice, but it takes many people's action.
Yeah, what do they say about the...
It takes a village.
It takes a village, African proverb, and I think the load is lessened. You carry if each of us carries a little, the load is less.
Yeah,
that's all.
And it's true. I think we're seeing that, and as we go along, hopefully things will be alleviated and better here in the city. Not that anything's wrong, but it's always nice to live somewhere better.
Well, and to be honest, we're in a competition. We are competing. We are the third largest city in northern Cincinnati, greater Cincinnati, northern part.
Mm-hmm.
So we're right behind. It's Blue Ash, Westchester than us.
Wow.
So at almost 20,000 residents for Forest Park. So, and maybe it's Westchester Blue Ash, but nevertheless we're the third. So we are directly in competition with Westchester and Blue Ash when it comes to businesses, when it comes to residents. We're there. So it has to start from, it's got to be a grassroots effort and take our community members to kind of get involved.
Sure.
And that's kind of where some of this initiative with Community Neighborhood Watch comes into play, because, we have an older population and they can't do it all. They've done an awesome job. It's time to pass the baton, and they need some help. They need more people that are going to be able to kind of carry on the legacy of what they've started.
And it's quite possible that we're looking at these boomers who are now getting older, who are used to doing the work, getting the things done, and the difficulty is now, like you said, passing that torch.
Yeah. And you have to have somebody there to pass it to.
And that's true too. Oh,
so
yes.
A lot of it is that from what I've from the women's club of Forest Park, which I'm a member, the Democratic Club, and the seniors that we have, a lot of them are retired. Very well intentioned, have done a great job, but no one's coming. I'm 33, so I'm typically the youngest person that attends anything, and I can't do it by myself.
No.
So we have to get involved so that we can kind of begin to see what we really envision for the future of Forest Park. The decisions that we make in the next 24 months are going to pave the way for the next 10 years. I firmly believe that.
And that's a good way to put that. And since we're talking about paving the way, let's talk about this grand initiative that we're looking towards. It was about 5 years ago where we had a very healthy block watch program, and it began to dissipate very slowly, but it did kind of morph into a more citizens on patrol versus a block watch. Your thought is, as you've been saying, let's get that community involvement again. Let's bring community and safety as one, very similar to this block watch, where you're looking to revive an old idea, but bringing it fresh and new to the community.
So, and the Citizens on Patrol has, led by Officer Rebecca Evers, has done a very good job. So they are sort of like a walking patrol, and they've got a system and a structure that they have set up where they, check on residents. They work very closely with our police department, and doing initiatives and things like that. The block watch dissipated, and there's a lot of different reasons why that happened.
Sure. There's
a lot of different variables that go into it. It's not an easy thing to do, to be really honest. But what I would like to see, and I brought this to the public safety, our public safety committee, and then actually at the time, Assistant Chief Arns said, this may be the best vehicle to use in order to kind of establish some of this community building that you're talking about. And I'm like, Arns, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a good idea.
I like your thought. Yeah.
I said, okay, so we'll run with that. And so kind of got a little core team together. So myself, Rebecca Evers, Jim Ward, Kathy, and Kathy Gray, a citizen, and fellow Councilwoman Rosalind Moore. I called a meeting. We sat and kind of had some conversations about it, what we thought that that could look like, and then just kind of going from there. So last week I met with the Citizens on Patrol and kind of shared with them, hey, this is what we would look to do. So, personally, I live over on Holderness in the H section, and I would love to see some block parties.
Sure.
I mean, quite, good old-fashioned block parties,
And
cooking, eating, having a good time together.
That's the way community should be.
That's how you build community.
Correct.
Because now you're saying, oh, well, that's Tammy, and Tammy's son is Chris. If I see Chris hanging on that jungle, or whatever.
No,
that's how it works, and it has to be non-aggressive,
right?
And it has to be a buy-in for the community members where they each have a little bit to offer.
Sure.
So you bring in this and I bring in that. And it was funny because we were talking with just the people on my block, and they're like, oh, well, I've got this ice chest thing, and I've got this, and I'll bring the hot dogs. I'm like, oh, we're
you've
just
already
trying to have
started?
a party. Right. We
Yeah.
basically already started. So that's kind of, that's the essence of it. But you're looking at a reduction in crime. Crime has always been very low here in Forest Park.
Sure.
Thankfully so.
Yes.
Due in part to our awesome police. But, we are seeing some new residents. We're seeing some new waves, some changes going on. And we cannot be blind to that. And so what you have to do is make sure that you have still a very firm and taught structure and base of citizens that are like, that may be what you did in that community, but that's just not going to work here.
And
we have rules.
And I
we're
think
not
that's
gonna do
okay to say, because
And
it
it's
is our
absolutely
city.
It is our city,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we still want to be able to have a place where you can walk around at any time of the day or night here, and you are safe. And we need to make sure that we can maintain that. And so we're talking about a reduction in crime. You're talking about also being able to kind of check on those neighbors that sometimes don't get out as much, and then just getting to know them. Also a time where we can kind of integrate, safety patrol and officers and things like that. So now they have a platform, they have foundations and opportunities to just meet the community where the community is. A lot of community members are not going to traipse over to the city hall.
No.
And I'll be honest, I didn't go over there much before I was elected. I just didn't. I wanted to be involved, but my involvement wasn't like that.
Sure.
Mine was, working with the school district, doing things like that outside and working in that sphere. But it's really important that we have opportunities for gatherings. And so the way we'll do it is it's somewhat of it'll be kind of a larger organization.
Okay.
And then we'll have community captains. And so we still don't know exactly what those communities will look like, how all the sections will be broken up.
I was just going to say, is it going to be based off street? Is it which is
you
something
just not-
typical in the area?
It typically is. Now for the H section, yes, ours is just going to be based off of H and G.
Okay.
So we're going to start with my location only because I have the most buy-in.
Well,
everybody, it's easy. It's right there. It's kind of like the guinea pig.
But you can watch it. You can kind of see the
absolutely. We want slow and controlled growth because what we want to be able to do is have the trainings. I'd like for folks to come in next year, and now we have some training classes. Okay, this is what the Block Watch is. Your neighborhood, friendship alliance will look like, or whatever.
Sure.
This is how it will look, and these are the events that we'll kind of do, and you'll start to grow it from there. So we'll only start off with the one. And by the way, we are taking names for. We don't want to call it Block Watch. Something new and fresh and exciting. Like neighborhood community alliance.
Friendship alliance, a community alliance. Right. Alliance sounds wonderful in the fact that you are, again, uniting a community, but the idea of having that name really brings heart to it. I think in meaning.
Yeah, I think so. And so whoever wants to chime in with the name proposal, email me. Email me at city council. What is it? cnus@forestpark.org. And then so we'll have that on September 9th for the community day. We will have a time we'll have a booth, and we'll have an opportunity for people to sign up if they're interested in wanting to be captains, and we'll kind of work on what that looks like and the structure of that. But we want to make sure that the first 1 to 2 locations we have or neighborhoods are really, nice and kind of strong.
Sure.
They have a good meeting schedule. They have some good parameters and rules. They have good supportive people, and that's one of the reasons Block Watches fail, simply because you just don't have the support, the boots on the ground of people. And so we want to make sure we have some strong people in place.
I think, as you're saying, let's have a pillar, a role model to base everybody else upon. I think that's a great idea. You're welcome. One of the things you were talking about most that I really enjoyed hearing is the fact that you're trying to unite the community. Again, going with the unity idea. It's, as we're talking about how older people are not able to get out, be able to be a part of things. However, all of these ideas almost sound very reminiscent of those 1950 ideals of when Forest Park was incorporated.
Absolutely. We are a volunteer-based community. We are a community that is like, hey, we're on the forefront when it comes to, environmental issues.
True.
Right? And this kind of sense of unity and as a first plan community. So it makes sense that we kind of speak back to our roots and continue that. I think we just kind of missed, I think we had a couple, just had some trouble.
Sure.
In time,
but who doesn't?
Things happen, right? And things happen. So it's just time to kind of get everyone back in gear and start working towards something new. The other element that makes Forest Park so unique is that we have one of the most diverse cities in all of greater Cincinnati as well. We've got
true.
a very significant African population. We have African American. We have a large Hispanic population. We have an Indian population that's pretty significant too.
Yeah.
So even our school district is one of the most, I think it's in the top 1% of diverse schools in Hamilton County. So to be able to have these neighborhoods and kind of support and brag about and get to show off what cool stuff they're doing in their culture, their cultures and things like that. That only has one intended consequence, and that is bringing each other together. And when you bring each other together, you can now talk about things that are very important. People that want to talk about the tax issues and tax questions. There's things that are coming up. There's potential transportation levies and things that are going to be coming up that you can have those safe conversations around food, hot dogs, and
can't we all get along with a good burger, hot dog,
Absolutely.
Couple chips, and be fine?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's how you kind of start to dissolve those differences and start to really, each other patrolling one another's homes and kind of making sure that things are safe while we're away. That's the very, at least in my opinion, essence of community.
Sure.
My neighbors know our garage codes. I have keys to multiple neighbors' homes. And I will get a call, your garage is up, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep it safe.
Sure, absolutely.
Safe, that helps.
And again, I think we've all grown up in that neighborhood. But then, of course, as we've grown, we've also seen that, well, I'm driving in, I'm shutting the garage door,
and that's granted.
And that is,
grew up like that.
And it's true.
And we think that, well, I guess it's just going to happen. But no, it doesn't just happen. It takes a little bit of effort to make that community, like that again. And so we just have to kind of get back to our roots.
So now that we know that this is beginning, and we're going to be starting in the H section, obviously you said we will be at Community Day in September.
September 9th. Sunday, September 9th.
Yes, that is Sunday, September 9th. What, if we were to come back here a year later, which we normally will, and discuss this, how do you feel the revival of, of our Unity team here would look now?
I think that it'll be well on its way. It's not going to hit every community and be full-fledged by any means, but I think we will have had a really nice, strong start. And I'm pretty strategic. I don't like, that. I do. I'm not kind of just I'm not a knee-jerk kind of person.
No.
So, making sure that we kind of have a slow and steady, rise to this is what's going to make the difference, because you don't want to burn people out.
No.
And that is what happens. I was a community volunteer for a long time, and I experienced burnout because it's hard to do so much, and there's just so few ants. I mean, just as like one or two of us, then it was too much to carry. So you kind of have to space things out enough so that you're still effective, but you're not just using and wasting people's talents. People have talents and skills. They just don't want to die for them.
No. And especially when it comes to a volunteer aspect of it. Most people are doing a volunteer means for the enjoyment or for the betterment of their skill. They have another job behind that as well. So
we want to keep them excited about it.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just takes some time. We'll have some outdoor movie nights. It'll be fun. I think the lineup, some of the ideas we have in terms of the lineup and things that we're going to do for the community, I think it's going to be really special. And I think we'll end up seeing more, community members like, hey, listen, could I do that, or could we do this? How do we do that? And then the best thing will be once we have a merging Right. So
And
then
that's
there's
where
going to
exactly
end
where
up
I was
being-
going. Yes.
Exactly. So then there's going to kind of like, that's the graduate effect, right?
Sure.
Because each of the neighborhoods, now we're going to have this, whole thing, well, my block's better than your block thing.
Right.
We may have some tournaments, it's going to be fun.
And that's a great idea. You turn out the beautification awards now to become a little bit different, and maybe taking a look at some aspects that you haven't thought of before.
Yeah.
That it just isn't okay. Here goes the same thing over again, and again, causing that burnout, causing that disinterest.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in your community, but just not wanting to give 110%.
And so a lot of people, kind of end up stopping or pausing because they don't feel like they feel like their efforts are in vain and they're not seeing a return on those efforts. So it's really important anytime I'm leading a program, which I've led many written grants and things like that, and structured and written curriculum for many, that you see a return for the investment of your time quite soon. So we'll have something, before in the fall, before it gets cold.
Right.
We'll have something. We're not just going to kind of plan and then wait. We'll have something, and you'll get that feedback, and it's going to be good.
Good.
It's going to be good. I think it'll be a great community effort. I'm really excited about it.
I can tell your passion does exude quite well, and I'm glad that you are, and I'm very glad you're able to bring this to us because, again, getting us started on that ground floor so that everybody understands where we're going to start brings it very much into that future that I'm saying when we come back and talk about it a year from now and all the programs that you really are ready to line up. And no, not necessarily you're lining up, but those neighborhoods are
Yes.
lining up.
Yes, and I think they'll, and also you create a platform for them. Sometimes it's just having a blueprint. To have a blueprint already and you don't have to reinvent the wheel is half the battle.
Yeah.
So, some people are just like, well, I want to get involved, I want to do some things, but I don't really know where I'm supposed to start. We got that. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. Hold your hand through it because we're all going to win in this.
Use some guidance and let them go. It's like raising children.
It is. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Yeah, I wish. I hope it's easier than that. I hope it's much easier.
Well, Chelsea, I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention, as always, here on our very important program here at Talking With. So,
Thank you for having me, Jason.
thank you so much, Chelsea, and I want to thank you for joining us as well. We'll be right back here on Talking With Forest Park.